Hi guys, welcome back to the Super Sensitive Show. My name is Daria, and we are at the Tiff Bell Lightbox filming for OK Do Live for Ep.2, which is so exciting. Unfortunately, I couldn't get my guest, Ethel Merman, for the show.
Will you just shut up and let me talk?
So we're gonna have to settle for my high school best friend, Domenica Rinaldi. Thank you for coming on, Domenica.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here. I'm sorry I'm not Ethel Merman, but
We can't
close that gate.
We can't always get what we want, but that is some tough. Domenica, tell me about where you go to school and what you do.
I do not go to OCAD, unfortunately. I go to York University.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
I'm in my fourth year. I'm doing a BFA, so I'm majoring in visual art. I do mostly painting, acrylic painting, and I'm doing a minor in English. Let's start that side of that life right now.
Very excited. We went to high school together. We did a 4-year visual arts program.
That was great.
It was a good 4 years.
That was actually nice.
It was an okay 4 years. Wasn't my favorite 4 years.
For real?
But I love that program.
Yeah.
I love that.
Program was good. Teachers were great.
Yeah.
Friends, you're still one of my best friends.
Yeah.
My best friends to this day are from the program.
Yeah. No, it was really nice. It was nice because those classes were every single day, every single week, every single semester, 4 years, which wasn't normal for all the high school courses.
No, because it was like the same people over and over again, it let you kind of build like a little group or like a little family at the time, and when a lot of people would just kind of float, like their friends would be whoever they would be sitting next to in class that semester, and then you change classes.
Yeah, it's really, you don't see them again. Yeah, it was nice to have that continual group of people to like grow with artistically, because we would have people who their artwork would drastically change from, I mean, us too.
I feel like mine did.
Yeah.
I feel like having you as, my best friend, you influenced me so much. You inspired me so much, and that, I took everything that I learned not only from teachers, but you from my other peers.
It's
with
true.
me into,
It's true. It's also like being surrounded by art all the time, which is why it's nice that you also have that experience at your university, as well as I do here. It's good to constantly around people who are making things that are new and fresh and exciting. Because I feel like if we didn't have that environment in high school, like it'd be hard to.
I mean, you don't really grow if you're not, like, as an artist, if you're not, I guess, constantly inspired or like. Not even just practicing, because at that age it was more about practicing and becoming better. That's like technically, but even like trying different things and figuring out what you like, what you don't like, and then taking those lessons that you learn about yourself, but as an artist.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Today, we're going to be talking about using our practice to cope. And your practice can be your artwork or your homework or pretty much anything that you do that you're making a livelihood out of. And it often feels like the schoolwork we do is not necessarily the personal work. And I know especially in high school, there was always that divide of like, is this gonna be your homework or is it gonna be your personal work? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I mean, I still feel that way now.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you could take the assignments and like, it's an easy bridge to like put your own style, put your own messages into the context of the assignment.
For sure.
But I always say, like, sometimes you just have to sacrifice, like, you just have to do something that you don't like, so like, you get the grade. I don't legitimately. It's true. I've done it and I don't care. I don't feel bad about it.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like, obviously, as we get older, like, I know even some of my peers in my classes, it's that line between doing things for the deadline, doing things for the assignment, and doing things that are also lining up with your personal work and what you do on the side. You try and like make those shortcuts, and you try and make it work for both. Like I'll use a school assignment for a submission or something like that. In my personal work, I feel like there is a lot of response to the events that are going on in my life and the feelings that I'm having and the experiences that I'm going through. And it's almost like when you're drawing a painting that is, so I guess, cathartic, or you're doing a painting that is predominantly based on feeling, it's almost like you don't have a certain control over what you show. It kind of just comes out, or that's how, at least how I feel with painting. And it feels like I can tell by looking at my work what period of my life I was in at that time. So there's really a lot of strong signals and suggestions of what was happening based on like my color choice or things like that. So I'm wondering if there is an aspect to your art that you feel like you just automatically gravitate to rather than plan it out. Because I know your artwork is very vibrant and joyful. Is that something that you are always doing intentionally, or it sort of just ends up happening that way? I haven't really tried.
I feel like it ends up happening that way because that's just kind of who I am as a person, and who I've always kind of been. I've never gravitated to things that are dark, things that are sad. I was always, as a kid, I was afraid of the news. Like, my parents were watching the news. Like, I would have to leave the room. I could, handle it. Because, you're hearing about all these bad things that are going on in the world. And, I don't know, it can be overwhelming. Scary, especially for a child. That's kind of how I've always been. I've been someone who tries to look for the light in situations, the comedy in situations. Yet a lot of my art, even if it has kind of more serious undertones, or even if it's dealing with body image, stuff that people, go through, and it sucks, but I still kind of look for the comedy or the levity, I guess, in those.
To me, that is an indicator of a seasoned artist, and being able to tell this story and being able to be serious, have a serious message, but show it in a way that people can understand, people can relate to. Because I feel like we all know that not everybody wants to see really gory, graphic imagery. That doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah.
Right? So sometimes you need, sometimes you need artwork that is more on your kind of vibe, I guess, and your energy to sort of attract you in and get you to pay attention to those topics. So you just had a show at school at York called Girlhood, talking about growing up and body insecurity and what it's like being a child, but also being a young woman, and learning how you're sort of on your own in terms of your body, and you have to put in that time and work to get to know your body, to get to know what you like. So I guess give me the run through of the show and look at the work.
Sure. So yeah, it's called The Girlhood. It was about my own kind of journey and the journey that, through conversations with a lot of my girlfriends, I know that they've also experienced kind of the same thing of, when you're young, you're free, you're whimsical, you can like whatever you want to like. There's all this opportunity, you can be whatever you want to be, and there's no inhibitions, or there's nothing holding you back. And then as you start to grow and become a little bit more aware of the world, and maybe some of the expectations placed on women, and the male gaze, the way boys are looking at you, and the need to be desired by whomever, loved by whomever, those kind of ideas start to cloud your judgment and the way you perceive yourself.
Yep.
And then you start to shun the things that you previously loved in life, and then you kind of, you pick apart your whole body, you paint everything about your body.
Yeah.
And I was talking to someone and dropped by the show, and he was saying, oh yeah, when you're a teenager, it's it doesn't happen. it starts so much earlier. True. Like, I know for me, I was like 8 or 9, I can pinpoint when I started like hating myself. I look at pictures of myself from 8 or 9. It's like, that's a little girl. Why was she hating herself so much and saying these horrendous things to herself?
Exactly.
Like, who's talking to a child that way?
Exactly.
What has gone wrong in the world that makes a lot of girls think about themselves that way?
Yeah.
And then as you kind of, get a little older and go through like high school, my friendship with you, my friendship with all the beautiful girls I knew in high school, you start to kind of question and become aware that it was kind of these external factors that were influencing your judgment. And okay, that's not necessarily truth. And you start to just discover who you are. And then kind of my message is that once you become a woman, you reconnect with the girl you once were.
Yeah.
And you shed that, not necessarily shedding insecurity or like the need to be loved and but you always grow out of it. You grow out of it and it doesn't matter as much, but you regain a bit of that sense of not caring what others think of you, and you can be anything in the world. Oyster.
Yeah. And that's really heavy stuff, right? And it's a heavy topic, but I feel like it's a topic that we all have some sort of connection to, whether or not you've felt that like firsthand, or you've watched it, or you've seen it described in the movies. I remember you talking about the persona or the character of the girly girl, and so the girly girl was always me, but the nice girl was like a tomboy. Right? It's like ultimate. They want to mimic that sort of dynamic, right? So that's really interesting, and I see media a lot in your work, and I see a lot of references to shows. And I feel like it's a beautiful mixture of like telling the story of that time period because of the imagery that we can all remember in Tamagotchi, the Disney movies and things like that, but also the kind of dark themes underneath that were really scary and really overpowering. Like, I feel like it's definitely okay to like love your childhood and still be upset over some of the things that you wish you were never exposed to.
Yeah, you can love something and be critical of it. Like, I'm not gonna pretend I had a bad childhood. I was the luckiest girl in the world. I had a beautiful childhood. My parents, my brother, like, I loved them so much, and they were always good to me. They're still good to me. So it's not anything that could have been helped. I guess it's like, that's how it is maybe in the Western world with the media we consume in the 2000s, like in that specific context. I remember like going back to a Mean Girls thing, like the movie Mean Girls. Even like Hannah Montana. I remember like anything feminine was so like demonized. Like, to be a girly girl, that was, I don't know, it wasn't a good thing. Like, you were a bully, and guys wouldn't like you.
For sure.
That's, to be feminine is to be bad. So, you gravitate more to like, I used to be obsessed with like Alex Russo, like
the attitude,
Bella Swan, or I don't know, like what, the cool girl,
for sure, girl model, for sure. I think that's definitely prevalent in your work, and I think that's why I love the exhibit, because it was such a like you're telling that story, and I think you were also telling me about the vulnerability, and I feel like vulnerability is part of coping as well, and dealing with those feelings and having them on display. There's something, when I look at your work, there's something very full circle about it. Thank you. Right? Because you are sort of displaying, and we can talk about even this work, right, where you're sort of opening up these parts of you that are maybe weren't known to the people in your life at that time. Or the artwork of, I know there's the one with the shell, and it had notes from your journal, and it's like, that's horrifying for people to come to that show and say, what does that mean? What does that say?
A girl very much to me came in, and she was like, oh, like, are you the artist? I was like, yeah. And she's like, are you okay? Like, I just read that. I was like, you know what? When I wrote that, I wasn't okay. I'm good now. But it was like kind of vulnerable, because like, you're ripping your journal out, you're pouring it onto the walls of, on a 36 by 6. But made by Glossy. Varnished and everything. But I mean, it was kind of cathartic, and like, like when I was making it, my dad came into the room and he was like, "Oh, did you write that stuff?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, I did." I was like, like he kind of didn't know what to say. Because it's like, how do you confront that? How do you, like, obviously I wasn't gonna tell my dad that I hated myself.
Yeah, no, of course.
You know what I mean? And like now that I'm over the hump of that and I've grown up and you know,
It's shocking to them, but it's
but
also like
most little girls go through it. You
exactly.
know?
Exactly.
It's not right.
It's a beautiful collection of work that is telling stories, but also almost like you had to create that body of work to sort of love that part of you again. Even though there were parts that were really choppy, there was, you know, you're kind of bringing this into a new light for yourself, and you're doing that by referencing, you know, media that you loved as a kid, the Disney stuff, like the escapism part of it. It's really strong, and I think that in itself is like some part of like a coping mechanism, but the way you're doing it seems healthy. This is the super sensitive pill box. It's $5. I love the super sensitive pill box for $5. Get yours today. Get yours today. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Super Sensitive Show. This is Domenica. You can reach her over here on her socials. You can also follow the Super Sensitive Stuff Instagram account and follow along with Okaju Live to keep updated on the Super Sensitive Show. We'd love to have you. Thank you so much.
I love you, buddy. I love you too so much.
Bye.
Bye.